angels will and they'll hold us in their arms. When our worth of stone or ashes and we both passed on. Let forever mean forever and carry on.
Good afternoon. Wow. So today we're going to talk about pre-SHTF threat assessment. And first off, Bear Independent done an incredible video yesterday on the subject, and I encourage people to watch Bear Independent's video. It's one of his Prepper Classroom series, and he did an incredible job. I'm going to be kind of focusing on one area of this. And so we're going to get to that in a moment. First off, I want to show you something that I ran across right before the show. And this is, I guess it's one of my many pet peeves. You know, one thing I can't stand is when individuals will fearmonger something that need not be fearmongered in order to either put themselves out ahead of the rest or however it is that you want to word it. And I just ran across this, and I actually went to high school with the couple that runs this business, and I'm, you know, on their Facebook page, you know, their business page. And so I'm scrolling through my news feed just, you know, before the show here, and I ran across this post, and I'm like, what? So let me show you the post, and I don't know what's going to show it first. Okay, I'm going to kind of pay attention to chat here, and I'm going to see if anybody can guess it before I reveal it, okay? So that's kind of the deal. Their business is called Make It Home Properties. Basically what they do is they renovate homes. They buy homes, renovate them, and resell them, you know, flip homes. Except, you know, from my understanding, they do go a little bit deeper into, you know, redoing the homes than just like the paint job and stuff like that. But nonetheless, it's wrong to fearmonger people. Wrong. So I'm going to pay attention to chat while I'm reading this, and we're going to see if anybody can guess what the magic item is. So anyway, the post says, and it's got 3 pictures there. The post says, why do we got the houses we do, question mark. As you can see in the one picture, there is radioactive materials in it. I found this in a ceiling at a house and that I'm working on. I have no idea what it is or what it's for. Made by Sears in the late 60s. And in the wire picture you can see where several large wires are tied together with duct tape and electrical tape in a location that possibly someone could have hung a picture and been electrocuted. It caused heat and smoldering in the fuse box, as you see in the last picture. This is why Shannon and I do what we do. When other flippers just paint and change a few things, these are the things that are left behind. What looks to be new and safe is not in a lot of cases. Well, okay, with the wiring, yeah, that's a given. But, you know, my thing with that is, number one, back when that was done, that was an acceptable way to do it. Okay? You're talking, you know, back in the day, they didn't even run wiring in the walls. They ran the wires outside the walls, and the insulation on the wire was really crappy, and it would get hard and break off, right? And you would have literally bare wires running along the walls, running right up to light switches, the old turnstile light switches, and you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm not really impressed, you know, I'm not. You know, go spend your $1.50 for your box and get a few wire nuts and make it look better. You know, that's a given. You know, yeah, you should do that. If you run into something like that, you should most certainly take care of it. But I'm looking over and I don't see anybody that's called the item out yet. But if you go to your wall, your ceiling, wherever it may be, and you pull off your smoke detector and you look at your smoke detector, you will find that it has a small amount of radiation in it, and there's a warning on it. In fact, if you can open the housing of your smoke detector, some of them, that's how you access the battery to. Ours we got here, there's a battery door in the back, so you can't really open the housing, you just open the battery door in the back. But a lot of smoke detectors, you open the entire housing to replace the battery, and you'll see a round thing there, and that round thing will have a metal plate on it with the radioactive symbol on it. Okay, very small amount of radiation. We're not talking Chernobyl here. Okay, very, very tiny, minute amount of radiation. But by law, they have to put that on there. They have to let you know that that device has a small amount of radiation in it. So, that was my first guess. The clues that they gave: ceiling, okay, again, the radioactive symbol, and then in the picture right here, you will see this clear thing sticking up. Well, that's the button. That's the test button, right? That same button that blinks red every once in a while to let you know that the battery's good. Yeah. That's the test button, okay? So I went further. What I did is down here, it's not going to let me get down there without popping that. Let me open the image in a new tab here. This is what investigative researchers do, okay? Down here in the bottom where I'm circling, you will see a number. You will see a 12-15023-02E. So I just simply put that in Google, did a Google search of it, right? And I even commented. Initially I said, could it have been an early smoke detector? Smoke detectors have small amounts of radiation in them, or they used to anyway. So basically, to be honest, I'm calling them out. I'm calling them out on their fear-mongering, because I'm going to just be blunt here. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Don't post a close-up picture of a smoke detector and try to fear-monger people into believing, well, oh my God, I should buy my house from them because they just saved somebody's life. It's a smoke detector, right? And so I put those numbers in to Google. Those numbers I just read off to you, I put those into Google, and what it brought up was this data sheet right here, which it's a Honeywell brand smoke detector. There's your number right there. The license number is right there. Okay, which I knew that's what that number was a license number. And basically it just tells you about the device, how much radioactive materials are in it, and the whole 9 yards. It's basically just a data sheet about the radioactive materials inside of that smoke detector. So, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous that you would take a close-up picture of a smoke detector, right, and try to get people to believe that you're above and beyond everybody else because you removed a smoke detector. I don't know. I've got an issue. Again, it's one of those pet peeves. I've got a pet peeve with people pulling that kind of nonsense, right? Because there's a lot of people that would have never in a million years from that picture have been able to deduct that it was a smoke detector, okay? So, and that's why I called them out, because I'm the exception, and F you, right? You know what? I don't go for that. I don't go for that nonsense. If you do good work, props. Great. Kudos, right? But you don't have to act like you're doing something that you're not really doing. You're not saving people. You're just removing an old smoke detector. Hopefully you replace it with a new one. Smile, thumbs up, right? Replace it with a new one, if you can afford to spend the $20 off of the thousands you're going to make on the house, right? And I have no problem with making money. I'm just saying, that's what I'm getting at. Like with the wires and stuff like that. That's why I commented at $1.50 box and some wire nuts, right? I mean, come on, really. It's just kind of one of those things. It's one of those things. I wouldn't have said anything if they were just discussing the wiring and stuff like that. I would not have said a word. would not have said a word. But trying to mislead people on a smoke detector, that went over the top for me. That went over the top for me. So anyway, that's not the topic of the show today. I saw that and it's like, oh my God. Be more honest, folks. You know, I mean, just be honest. Unbelievable. So anyway, let me run through the normal stuff, and then we'll get to the subject at hand here. Amazon affiliate, we are at $23.83. Or let me try that again. $23.86. So thank you to those that participate in that. For those that don't know, we have an Amazon affiliate link in the description of the videos, as well as at the watchmannews.com in the top right. That link will just take you to Amazon, and if you make a purchase, it doesn't cost you anything more, but it throws us a little bit for the sale. So we got an Amazon store that works the same way, just a bunch of categories with items in those categories. You purchase one, it doesn't cost you anything more. It throws a little bit our way. So let's see. We've got a Teespring store, and I still got to get that sale set up, but that's okay. I've got plenty of time. That sale is going to be from November 29th to December 2nd, I believe it was. And the code will be Cyber30, and it will give you 30% off our Teespring merchandise. So just if you're interested, again, I'm going to try to have, a couple more designs up by then. So just for your consideration. And let's see here. The other way you can help out is we do have a PayPal donate link. That's in the description of the videos, as well as in the main menu at thewatchmannews.com. That just takes you to our PayPal donate page, and you don't have to have a PayPal account. You can just use a debit or a credit card. And I always let people know so they're not confused. It will say Transforming Disabilities up top. That is us. It also says Purpose the Watchman News donation. That way you know you're in the right place. So anyway, and basically, like I tell everybody, it typically goes towards prepping related items, Right now we're trying to get a grow tent going. So the biggest thing we need next to get the grow tent going is a LED light, a light. We need lighting for it. And it's one of those things where I've done my homework, and this one is the best bang for the buck. You really need, if you're going to go LED, you really need what they call the triple chip lights. So just for your own information, if you decide to try to grow indoors or something like that, if you want to go with LED, which is a great choice, make sure you get a triple chip light. Make sure of it. But anyway, yeah. So at the end of the month, we'll get our Amazon affiliate money, which is 98 something, I think, something like that. And that's where that will go. So unless something comes up that we get it sooner, that's where that will go. And then I'm still about $200 behind before I can even start planting. So, so it's one of those deals to where, it is what it is. It just takes a while to get this stuff. So I've got to get the filtration system, and I've got a couple of pumps I'm going to get because it is going to be a hydroponic system. The pumps are cheap, though. The pumps, I think they were like just under $13 for two of the pumps, So it's not bad. It's not bad. The biggest thing's the lights and the filter fan, the filter, and really that's the only big things. Other than that, get a couple of buckets, some tubs, not a big deal. But so that's what we're working on now. That is our goals now, is to get this grow tent growing, and then we'll go from there. So obviously, if you can't figure out how that's prepper related, well, I don't know that I can help you. Anyway, so let me get that stuff closed out. All right, and let's talk a little bit about pre-SHTF threat assessment. Let me have a sip of coffee. Pardon me. So here's the thing. This is one of those subjects that really takes kind of a hardened attitude. You have to come to some very real realizations, mindsets now. And you just have to be an understanding of that. This is one of the subjects that makes me urge everybody to read books like Angry Americans Going Home series, or William Fortune's 1 Second After series, Franklin Horton's Borrowed World series, or the Locker 9 series from Franklin. These books will help mentally prepare you. Believe me, they will help mentally prepare you. Now, they ain't going to do it all for you, but they are going to give you a peek inside of the way that life is going to be. I can't speak for all the authors on the genre, but I can speak for those 3 authors. They've done their homework. They're not just writing out of their butt. They've done their homework. They know what happens, right? They've researched what's happened countless times, luckily in other countries. But it's not that these things haven't happened. They just really haven't happened anytime recent here. Okay? So they've done their research. What happens in these other places when they lose the power grid for an extended period of time, or they go through some type of war for an extended period of time? You think of countries like Iraq, Afghanistan, Bolivia is in trouble again, but it wasn't that long ago that they were in trouble. Right? Libya. There is countless countries, just countries after countries after countries that have faced serious hardship. And there's a lot of information, a lot of data out there that you can get a hold of to see what the conditions were like and what people had to do to survive. Okay? This is a very, very important part of that. Right? Because, in my opinion, surviving is not dying, right? And in order to not die, not only do you have to have preps, but you have to be able to protect those preps. It's very key. It's very key. I have to admit, I've watched Doomsday Preppers, right? I'm ashamed, but hey, I've watched Doomsday Preppers, and I can even remember seeing a show to where there was a family that was a very anti-gun family. And no, we won't even allow guns on our property. And I'm thinking, right? Now, we don't own firearms, but it doesn't mean that we can't defend ourselves. It doesn't mean that we're not prepared to defend ourselves, okay? And come post-SHTF, I'll just say, all I'm going to have to do is defend myself the first time. And then guess what we have? Think about it. So, now here's the thing. It's probably a good idea to take a look outside your window, outside your door, and get an idea of who it is that you may have to be concerned about. It's a good idea to do that right now. Right now. For instance, we already know we've got a porch pirate next building over, right? Brazen enough in broad daylight to drag a $70 50-pound bag of dog food off of a front porch, right? With a door to a tenant facing it that is always home and typically always in the living room, meaning us. I don't know how we missed it. To be honest, I have no idea how we missed them doing that. We had to have just been by chance in back right when they did it. And that's brazen. That is brazen, right? This same person, quotation marks, this same person, when they very first came around the neighborhood, was going around the neighborhood looking into cars and checking the doors. So clearly, we're going to have a problem here. Without a doubt. We're going to have a problem. These are the things that you need to recognize and understand now. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Probably the most important part of it is understanding the realization of what may have to be done. That's the battle. That's the battle. it's sad that you have countless people out there like myself and many others that have been screaming, trying to get people to get even just a little bit prepared. And it's like most people refuse, absolutely refuse. And those are the people that you're going to have to worry about. They may merely be neighbors, they could be friends, they could be family. You better go through the list of those people now and make an assessment. And those that you're closer to, I would highly recommend that you take some time to talk to them and tell them, look, this is what I do. I prep. This is something you need to be doing. But I want to make it clear right now. If something major happens and you didn't do anything to prep, that you're not coming here. You really need to have these conversations now. They're hard conversations. But you really need to have them now. You don't ever want to be in a situation to where post-SHTF, your family member walks up to you and says, well, you've got all that food stored. Why can't you help me? And then when you say, well, I've told you, you might want to start putting things back, and then, yeah, but you didn't say I couldn't come here. That whole misunderstanding thing that sometimes people will use to get what they want. Be mindful of that. Have these hard conversations now. Could they cause hard feelings? Most definitely. It is what it is. This is a situation that involves people take self-responsibility. And if they're mad because of the things that you're saying to them, it's because they're mad at themselves for not taking that responsibility. Let's see. Actually, okay, so I see two questions there. Yeah, the police were called, but because they brought it back, they brought the bag of dog food back. Because they brought the bag of dog food back, the police would not allow them to press charges. So that's answering question number one. Number two, a camera at both doors. I have been looking at systems, but unfortunately it's kind of pushed way down on the priority list because I don't have that kind of money. Ideally, because we rent, we can't kind of go crazy with installation, so I have to make the installation as clean as possible, so to speak, without with minimal drilling, mounting, stuff like that. And the systems that I've been looking at are typically about $180, $190. Now that's more than that's 4 cameras and a DVR system. The reason why you want to go with that over just using a computer is because when you run a dedicated system like that, number one, it's much easier to be able to run with a backup power source, which is certainly what you're going to want to do. And number two, you don't want to chance, there's a lot of chances you take when you use a PC for your security system. So, one of the major advantages of using one of those DVR type of systems is that you can hide that sucker, right? You can put it, and in fact, I've got the perfect place to put it. And you can actually tuck it away where nobody's going to realize where that system is. Because again, if you happen to leave, which fortunately we don't do that often, but if you don't happen to leave, or if you happen to leave, somebody that realizes, obviously, that you've got a camera system. When they break in, all I got to do is steal whatever it is the cameras are hooked up to, and you're just hosed. So in most cases. Now, the newer systems are a lot more advanced. In other words, they'll, like, if they detect motion, you can set them up to where if they detect motion, you can have it send a text message to the homeowner. Homeowner can, take a look at that point. They could take screenshots, whatever the case may be. So systems are rather highly advanced these days. But the reason behind the DVR system versus the PC is that you lessen the chances of losing what it is that you're going to need if the time should ever arise. There's a million and one reasons why I recommend going with those systems. I don't think I put any in my Amazon, like my private list, I don't think. But like, oops, that would have been my e-cig. Wireless, and by the way, this is a great tool for anybody come post SHTF, but make sure you have some type of backup system so you can actually run it, because if SHTF and the power goes out, you still have to be able to run this system. So, security, camera, and I didn't have any one particular one picked out. Oh, and there's another thing too, the reason why I needed a system like this, and I'll show you in a second here. So the systems that I'm talking about aren't even the ones like we've already passed up, because I really need to have that tilt pan feature on the cameras. Like this here is an indoor camera, but you can tilt and pan the camera. What do they call those? I think they're dome cameras. Hang on here. Let me add something in my search here. Wireless security camera. Let me just put in tilt pan. And this is, you can actually build your own system too by buying cameras like this. And then buying your box. I haven't really looked into it. Like, you can get the cameras, like these cameras here are roughly $50 a piece, and then you can turn around and go buy your DVR box. That's not a problem, as long as you can find one compatible. Again, I'm not there yet, so I haven't actually picked anything out. I don't know why they're not popping up. I was looking for a system that was all together, popped up, ready to go. And there was like tons of them. It's my search terms is what it is. But yeah, anyway, let me show you real quick. Let me pull this off. Let's see. Give me just a second here. And I'll put this back up on screen. Actually, let me trying to figure out how to do this, like real quick. Like, here, let me take the snapshot. Let me do it this way. I'm almost there. Just had to get this in the right window, and now I need to get it to the right. Okay, I believe I got it. If it doesn't change when I pop it in here, okay, we're good to go. So this is the front of our place, right? And this isn't the best picture I could use to show you this, but if you notice our porch, the way our porch is designed, Okay, this isn't our door here. This is our neighbor's door. Okay, our door is kind of concealed, but it's at the same angle that that door is, but it's right over here, hidden behind this pillar. Okay, this is like if you would be staring right at me right now if you were looking in this window right here. But anyway, so the way our porch is designed, what they did, how they did this, and this is ridiculous. But how they did this, okay, was they're from this building over here. What they did is the package was right here, and what they did is they slinked up alongside of this wall and drug that package right on next door. That's how they did it, okay? That's how they got away with it. But the issue is because you have to have a power source for the camera, I can't put that camera like where my mouse is, but on the other side of this little ledge here. I can't put that camera right there because I have to have a power source for that camera. So there's no real way. I've got a way to run a wire there. Again, we rent, so otherwise if it was our place, it would be no sweat. But I think I can get away with it, and you can't see it because it's hidden by the pillar here. But right here, like in between the two doors, our door and our immediate neighbor's door, I could put one up there. But the problem is there is no way that camera is going to be able to get, everything I need at that angle. So that's why I kind of have to have something that by remote I can tilt and pan. So, but just kind of trying to explain that. But yeah, that's where I'm at with the camera system. Huh? Nah, because I mean, any type of stationary camera, I'm going to be in the same kind of boat. There are cheap ways that you can do it, but again, a lot of them are going to be involving using a computer, and I really don't advise that with the security camera system. I used to have a system that I put together that used a computer, and I had issues as a result of it. So I mean, it came in handy. It did its job. There was a couple instances that it was needed and the footage was needed, and it worked. It worked fine. But there was a couple other instances to where when I went to go retrieve the video, it wasn't there. So, and it should have been. So everything was working fine on the computer. The computer was running fine. There was an actual failure in the software, the camera software, because when you go buy those cameras, a lot of times they'll like give you a link for free software you can download for the camera systems, and usually that software just isn't that hot. It's not that great, and I don't know if the motion detect failed or what, because normally the motion detect on that software is usually pretty good. I've never noticed it not detect motion, but for whatever reason, there was nothing there for that file, and there definitely should have been. So, but that is what it is. I mean, and like I said, when you run a separate DVR system like that, it's much easier to hook up to a backup supply system, and those are cheap nowadays too. So. For those that don't know what I'm referring to, I'll just put in computer battery backup. Like, that's actually, I see them for a lot cheaper than that, but you got like one here for $60. They're for computers, basically, and basically you plug them into your wall, you plug your computer into them, and if your power goes out, they will switch on. Ideally, they will switch on before your computer even powers down, and your computer won't even power down or anything like that. Well, you can use these for more than just computers. You can use them for security cameras or whatever, lights, whatever you need. I've got a backup on the computer I'm on right now. So it literally, if we would lose power, nothing would happen. I mean, I would still be here. I'd still be broadcasting. I've actually done shows to where that has happened back, it's been over a year ago now. when we interviewed Rogue Preparedness on the show. We actually had tornado warnings in the area and stuff. A nasty storm moved through and we lost power. And much of the interview that I did with Rogue Preparedness, I did without electricity. So, let's see. Let me look over at the chat here. But yeah, that's kind of the deal with the with cameras. Let me look. I just kind of looked up in the chat, and you asked if I seen your other question. Oh, it must be about the dash cam. Yeah, I mean, again, yeah, you could use a dash cam as a. I think you could use a dash cam as a crude camera device. I think that's got. Wait a minute. Does that have motion detect on it, or does that just run straight? Like you turn it on when you go driving? I don't know. Ideally, you're going to want something that's got motion detection, and the reason why, and this always got me when you see video of like a bank robbery or a store robbery or something, it's the blurriest, fuzziest picture that I've ever seen in my life, right? But you can get like 1080p, full 1080p security cameras for cheap. They're not expensive. The cameras themselves. I never could understand that. Why do they have like, 120p or something like that going on there? But anyway, my point being is when you record in like, say, full 1080p, that takes up a lot of space. And so, you've got two options. You can either record all the time or you can record with motion detection. And so... that way, the only time that your device is actually recording is when it detects motion. So, and what's cool about the better systems is you can set up your zones. So, and they're very good at this. In other words, you actually set up the motion detection zone so that, say you got a street out front, you can exclude that street from the motion detection so that every time a car drives by or every time somebody walks by on the sidewalk, your camera doesn't come on. You can just include the area right up on your porch or whatever. So that's another good option. So, oh, okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'll check it out and see. I'll see if it's feasible. I mean, at least for the time being, it'd be better than nothing. I was floored when I found out that the neighbor did that. I was absolutely just, I mean, it's not that I ever had trust for this guy, because I didn't. Because again, right when he first came around the neighborhood, he was spotted looking in people's cars and trying the car doors and stuff like that. So I knew from the beginning about this guy. But that's just as brazen too, I guess. But to just come up on somebody's porch and drag a 50-pound box off the porch, that's crazy. That's crazy. But anyway, back to what I was talking about with assessment. Oh, get what's that? What is it that you need to get, Blue Sky? For what device were you talking about in particular, Blue Sky? I don't have a camera system in particular picked out, but hang on. They're not really hard to find. I can show you what you look for. So we're just going to put in, and wireless is kind of good to go with. I mean, if you can do wired and it's not a big deal, I would always recommend that beforehand, but otherwise, yeah. Okay, and I typically look at 4 camera systems because, I don't live in a mansion. But like right here, here's one for like $169. Comes with 4 cameras, 1080p, outdoor, indoor cameras, night vision, no hard drive. Now that's something that I want to emphasize. That is no hard drive. So you have to turn around and buy a hard drive to put in it as well. See, here's one of the cameras like I was talking about, the wireless cameras with the, I don't know if that's tilt and pan, though. I'd have to read. Hang on here. Okay, this one here for like, well, they've got a $30 coupon on it, so it would be, what, $169.99, I guess. It comes with a 1 terabyte hard drive, so it does come with a hard drive. 1080p cameras, night vision. You know, doesn't look like it's a bad system here. Does not look like a bad system there. See, those are wired cameras, though. Bummer. I'm just kind of looking around at the different, what they have there. But like right here, this is what I was talking about. $169.99 is what that would run. And that's everything that it comes with. Let me see. Wait, is that wire? Okay, it is wireless. Okay. 65 foot. That's what I was looking for. The night vision is 65 foot. So, you know, for most people, that would be plenty good. It certainly would be plenty good for our use. And depending on your field of view, and that's another thing to look at too, if I had a system that had a real wide field of view, it would probably be okay without the tilt and the pan. But I don't know. If they're going to tell me the okay, like this, if that picture's an indicator, that camera system would actually have a wide enough field of view for what I need. But let me look. A lot of times they will say like how many degrees the field of view, but that looked like it was 120 degrees, and that would be plenty for, at least for my purposes. But and that drive is pre-installed. That was the other thing that I was wondering about on that. That drive is pre-installed on there, or in there, so it's not like you got to figure out how to put it in or anything like that. I'll give you the link for that. I mean, this looks like a decent system. I really don't see anything. Let me see what the ratings are. Yeah, ratings are okay. Let me see what, I always take a look at the complaints. And I always take in consideration that some people just aren't very bright. So that's very important to take in consideration. There's no way to speak to a person. Well, did it tell you that you could? Question mark? Let's see. One camera stopped working after 1 day. Okay, sometimes that happens. See if you can get a replacement. Changing, okay. Screws in nighttime video could use an upgrade or modification. Yeah, but as I said, changing the saturation and brightness helps during the night, but creates overly bright areas during the day. Telling you, night vision's not going to be perfect. You're not talking about a $1,000 camera system here. So far from what I'm seeing on the complaints, not anything to be real concerned with. Lack of response, concern, customer, product information. Again, that comments like that doesn't concern me, because some people email a company, and you have to use a lot of discernment with this stuff. Some people will email a company and will expect them to get back with them immediately. So this person said it's approaching 60 days without any satisfaction. No replacements. Why isn't he going to Amazon? Amazon will make them make it right. I don't know. I'm suspicious of stuff like that. It's one of the reasons why I like Amazon, because if you buy a product through Amazon and it's not right, you can contact Amazon. If that company won't respond or won't do anything, you can contact Amazon. Let's see, a lot of quirks. Well, yeah, you're going to have to know what you're doing to get it working. Read the manual? Question mark. I'm telling you, I've said it a million times, folks. I'm an ass. It is what it is. I am self-taught on pretty much everything I know. I'm self-taught, and so to me, just throwing my hands up and saying I can't do it, that's not an excuse. Not an excuse. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything too bad. I mean, I always look at the reviews, though, and you have to use discernment with the reviews. Just honestly don't look too awful horrible, but if you are interested in a camera system like that, I know one like this is I know one like this would work for me from the going on that image. Yeah, it would. But anyway, there's the link for that. They've got 8 left in stock. Order soon. Oh. So, and seriously, if they run out or something, you're still in the market for a camera system or something like that, and you're really interested in something like that, and that's out of stock, let me know, and I'll find you another system, because they're like all over. $179. This is pretty much the same thing. They're a dime a dozen. And to be honest, when you're dealing with the cheaper items like that, the less expensive camera systems like that, a lot of them are made in the same place. So it's not an issue, whatever brand name is on it, because people buy several thousand of them and slap their own name on it and resell them. So that's how that works. So even on a lot of the drones, like I've been talking about drones and stuff a lot lately, a lot of your cheaper drones, that's the way they're made. You've got a company that actually makes the drones. They produce them. Another company will go buy up several 100,000 or whatever, several thousand of them, slap their own name on them and sell them. Potensic does that with some of their drones. So anyway, let's see. I agree. I just looked over a chat. I agree, Wolfgang. I think some reviews are lies. I've actually caught on some reviews how people have said, a lot of bad things about a product, and I've actually figured it out just by the different things that they said, that they were actually in one way or another representative of another company. So, yeah, you got to be mindful of that. But I always look because I look to see if there's a trend. That's what you want to look for. You want to look for if, first off, if it's like below 3 stars or whatever, yeah, stay away from it. But if it's like 4 stars out of 5, go take a look and see if there is a trend, okay? If there is a trend of complaints about the same thing. And if there is, then you're on to something. But if it's just various complaints, and if you could boil those complaints down to, okay, so sometimes you get a dud, or some people just don't know how to read the instructions, or something like that, then don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. Anyway, so just kind of real quick, because, wow, it's almost 5 already. So just kind of really to kind of sum up what I'm saying about pre-SHTF threat assessment. The most important thing out of all of it is come to an understanding now of what you may have to do. I'm just putting it out there. What you may have to do. What survival for you may have to include. And when I say may have to, I mean I'm pretty sure it's pretty likely that you're going to have to do if you want to survive. You're talking about a situation to where if you're sitting on food and somebody else figures out that you've got food and they haven't ate for 3 or 4 days and they're starving, and we'll throw kids in the mix, they've got 3 or 4 kids, right, that haven't ate either. Think about it. What would you do? If you had 3 or 4 starving kids that haven't ate for 3 or 4 days, and you knew where there was food, what would you do? What would you do? I know what I would do. And I'm just being honest with you. Just being honest with you. And when I say that, when I say I know what I would do, I'm coming from the frame of mind, when I'm saying that, the frame of mind of the average person, not somebody that's studied preparedness and survivalism and has, acquired items to help with hunting or fishing or, ways to procure my own food. I'm talking about the average Joe out there that doesn't have any preparations, doesn't have any of those skills, but yet they've got a few kids at home. They've gone a few days without eating. Put yourself in those shoes. What would you do if you knew there was food behind that door? Unfortunately, those are the decisions that we're going to have to deal with. Those are the decisions that we're going to have to make. And like I said, you're much better served today having those hard conversations with those that you can and getting in. It's going to be much more pleasant today than it will be then. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. There is, I don't know if it's, I think it's, yeah, here it is. Okay. If you go to the watchmannews.com, under the resources menu, there's an item called Wake Up Letter. I'm glad I got that there. I didn't realize I did. This is a letter that you're more than welcome to copy. It's a PDF. You're more than happy to send, an email with the PDF link into it to people you know, or you could, print it out on paper and give it to friends and loved ones. It's a harsh letter, and I didn't write it. I came across this letter in a forum. It's probably been more than 10 years ago. I came across this letter on a forum online, and I did change it up a little bit in a couple of places. I think, if I recall right, I kind of calmed down the language in it a little bit, just because the language in it wasn't necessary to get the point. So, but I think that's pretty much all I did. Let me read this letter to you. And again, you can access it. Just go to thewatchmannews.com under the resources button, and it's Wake Up Letter right there. It says, "Dear friends and loved ones, I love you all, but I will shoot you if I have to. I'm serious. Here's why." And I've read this letter on air many times before. "I've tried to persuade you to prepare for what's coming, and in the process revealed that to you I'm preparing. You realize that I have food, guns, etc., and ended up saying, half kidding but half serious, I'll come to your place when SHTF. No, you won't. I will shoot you. If you threaten me and or my family, I will use force to defend against any threat. And showing up at my place hungry and unprepared is a threat to me. You will eat my food and use up my medical supplies, generator, firewood, etc. That's less of these life-saving things for me and my family. That's a threat. Is this greed on my part? No. I will take care of the truly needy, those who cannot take care of themselves. But you are different, very different. You had plenty of chances to prepare for yourself. But what did you do? You spent the weekends watching football, went on expensive vacations, and never made your spouse mad at you with your crazy ideas that something bad was happening. You didn't do poop because you would just come to my place. Problem solved, right? You didn't need to spend time, money, and create domestic strife because I did all that for you. Not. Why should I spend my time, money, and stress just so you can waltz into my place and live happily ever after? I'm a nice guy, but really? I'm going to spend my very limited free time, disposable income, and domestic tranquility just so you can have a leisurely life and more material comforts pre-collapse while I don't. Why do you think I will sacrifice enormous amounts of my time and money so you can enjoy yourself while I'm slaving away? Would you assume you could come over and leave your broken car at my house, that I would just spend thousands of dollars on parts and several weekends fixing it, and then hand it over to you with a smile? just because I'm a good guy. Would anyone expect that? Actually, these days, yeah. You do, apparently. You actually expect to waltz over to my cabin and receive, with a smile, thousands of dollars of food and other supplies that took me all my weekends to acquire and store. So, my grasshopper friend, as in the story of the grasshopper and the ant, here is your official warning. If your plan for you and your family's safety is to come to my place, you're wrong. When you show up, I'll ask you to leave. When you don't, I'll point a gun in your face. If you refuse to leave, I will shoot you. You are a threat to me. You had years of time and very clear warnings to get ready, but you didn't. Hey, I love football. I don't, but yeah, it's a letter. I didn't write it. Hey, I love football, but haven't been able to watch a game in a few years. I've been fixing up the cabin, buying supplies, and training with the team. I spent a lot of money doing all of these things, so I haven't gone on a long vacation in forever. I have had several difficult times with my wife because of all of the prepping I'm doing. I could have easily done what you did, which is just say, yes, dear, and not prepare because she didn't want you to. I hope this message jolted you. There's still some time. Go prep. Please understand that if your plan cannot be, I'll come to your place. I don't want to shoot you. And I named it, I don't remember if it even had a name on the website I saw it on, but I named it Wake Up because that's what it is. It's a wake-up letter. And that's why I put it on our website, so that people can get the letter, they can distribute it. Because, again, it's not a pleasant conversation. I can't help that. But you have to make a choice whether to have that conversation now or later. And I firmly believe that now's the better time. You know, I've had this conversation. Jen's heard me make remarks when friends have been over. You know, because I know they're not prepping. I know that they're refusing to even buy a bag of rice. And I know this. And so I put out that warning because we can't do it. We can't. We really don't have enough for ourselves, you know? So it's important to me that others know where I stand on this. You know, if Jen and I had years worth of food, bring it on. But we don't. As it stands, we've got like 3.5 months of food in there. That's not a lot. That's not a lot. We don't own firearms. So, and the reason I say that is because that does make hunting a little bit harder, but not impossible. Do have a crossbow. So I'm not too worried about that. But, you know, when we're hanging on to 3.5 months of food, it makes it kind of hard to take somebody in, especially people that have known me nearly my whole life and should know better. I've been prepping for over 10 years. I know the question's going to be asked, well, how come you only have 3.5 months of food? Because I lost everything. That's what how do I term this? I know how I want to term it, but I'm trying to bring it down to a little bit more, at least R-rated. It's what a spiteful woman can get you. Okay? I literally had pallets of preps, pallets of food. I had cases of gas masks. I was prepped like you wouldn't believe. And I lost every bit of it. And I pretty much lost everything I owned. So I'm starting over. Not only with prepping, but life altogether. When Jen met me, I had, one pair of jeans I could wear because the other pair had holes in them so bad that they were almost not like wearing jeans. 3 T-shirts, I think, something like that. Yeah, literally. You know, I met Jen shortly after all that went down. And, yeah, literally left Alabama with a medium-sized olives pack, a duffel bag, and my computer tower. That's it. out of an entire lifetime of items, things that were handed down to me from my grandpa and other family members. Everything out the window. No way to get it back. Even when I finally, within that first week after it happened, I finally got it arranged, because we're talking Illinois to Alabama. I finally got it arranged. Somebody was going to help me go down and get my stuff, so I made a phone call to the, then ex-landlord, and his response to me was, "Who are you? You didn't rent from me." Well, I had easily over $10,000 worth of tools, and when we moved in, he was eyeing up those tools right then and there. So I know what happened. I know where that went. If my ex didn't get it and give it away to family members or whatever, yeah, that's who wound up with it, was the landlord. But nonetheless, I can't do anything about that, right? All I can do is start over, and that's what I've done. So that's why we've kind of got such limited things. We don't have a lot. We don't. But we're trying. We're trying. And I'm a firm believer in God. And I believe that as long as we are trying our hardest, that He will see us through. And I firmly believe that. I firmly believe that. So, anyway, threat assessment. It's something you need to do. You need to, I didn't go quite as deep into it as I wanted to. Look around your initial neighborhood. Of course, your friends and loved ones, but look around your initial neighborhood. Expand out from there, right? Look throughout your entire town. Assess it. Assess it. The more that you assess that you're going to need to worry about, I would beef up your bug out abilities. Okay? If you're in a location that, without a doubt it's going to get hairy, then you better have some hefty preps for bugging out. Okay? And you better have a plan as to where you're going to bug out to. Okay? This whole I'm just going to pick up and head to the woods thing, not a good plan. Not a good plan. You need to have, if you're going to just pick up and head to the woods, you at least need to know where in the woods you're going to head. You at least have to have that established, right? And go out there now, ahead of time, and scope out the land. Find you the spot to where you're gonna set your camp up, right? Have all that stuff decided, so that way, SHTF, you head out the door. You can go right to where you're gonna set up camp and get busy. Right? Because unfortunately, none of us can choose when that time comes. And things like that have this nasty habit of coming at the worst times. Right? Can you imagine being the dead middle of winter? Foot or two or more of snow on the ground? And SHTF? It could happen. It could happen. But anyway, threat assessment. Very important. Very, very important thing. The most important part of threat assessment is accepting what that may involve. That's a hard pill to swallow. And the best way to swallow it that I can advise you, read those books. Read the Going Home / the Survivalist series by Angry American, the Borrowed World series, and Locker 9 series by Franklin Horton, and the 1 Second After series by William Fortune. I'm serious. It's a wake-up call. If you've not read any of those books, believe me, it's a wake-up call. So, and these guys are very well researched. They didn't just, like I say, make up fantasy stuff. They did their research. They found out what happened in other countries when similar events went on, and they wrote about it. They just changed the location to here. So, anyway, let me go ahead and read the headlines, and we shall go from there. Oh, there's a question. How am I going to heat if it hits the fan in the winter? We've got a tent stove. Let me see. Did we buy ours from Walmart? I think we bought ours from Walmart. The only reason I asked her about that, if we bought ours from Walmart, was I was the quickest way to bring it up to show you what we've got. And bingo. This is what we have. We have a portable tent stove. Now, that's probably not big enough to heat the entire place. That's fine. As long as I can heat a room or maybe 2 of the 3 rooms, we're good to go. So, yeah, I do have a tent stove. And, you know, of course, it's not very big. It's actually in our bug out trailer right now. And so if need be, you know, if we have to bug out, then that's also good to go with us so that I can heat the tent as well. So we still got to do the sleeping bag things and all of that. We've got those on the list. I keep watching, keep an eye on those too. Now they're saying, I think it is 1 to 2 months. It's all the way down at the bottom here. That's wood. You just use wood in it. These are the sleeping bags I plan to get too, which will help a lot. But they must be not necessarily out of stock, but now they say usually ships within 1 to 2 months. So, but anyway, yeah, it's just a wood stove. That's all it is. It's a wood stove. What I like about it, I don't know if they have, yeah, they've got some pictures. They've got like the rack system on top of it where you can actually cook on top of it. That folds up into a handle. Let's see what other pictures they have of it. Kind of an interesting stove, all the features of it. It's got tubes. You can actually put like food and stuff inside of those tubes to be able to warm it up. If you've got food that you just need to warm up, you can just put your food inside those tubes to warm it up. Of course, you can put things like socks or gloves or boots or whatever on those to be able to dry out next to the wood stove. So it's not a bad little stove. I mean, the quality of it for the price, it's not bad. It's not bad. So, but yeah, it is a wood stove. There is enough wood downstairs to get started on. There's probably enough wood downstairs to last us for the first few days, which is good. That's fine. I've got a saw and stuff like that, so that would be one of the primary things that I did post SHTF would be secure some wood. So, which wouldn't be very hard around here. So, but yeah, not a bad little stove. $70, I do recommend them. They're not bad. Let's see. Yep, like I say, we've been, as best we can, you know, we've been trying to hit as many areas as we can, you know, when it comes to getting prepared. And, you know, I want to make sure that I have enough of those areas covered to at least some extent, you know. Kind of one of the reasons why I'm doing the grow tent now is because I do want that ability to have at least some minor food production ability. You know, I mean, it just, I'm just kind of trying to go around in circles and hitting areas, you know what I mean? We've got quite a few blankets and stuff like that. So if that's HTF, that's what I do. I look at what we have and I think, okay, if SHTF was to happen tomorrow, okay, what is the area that we're most lacking? And, you know, when I think about that, I think about, is there anything that I can adapt? Is there anything that I could use for that purpose that we have? And, you know, like, for instance, the reason why I haven't been, you know, hell-bent on, oh, I got to get those sleeping bags, right? Because we've got blankets. We've got blankets. Is that ideal to bug out with? No. But we've got blankets. And damn well, if I have to, I'm bugging out with them. If I've got to take a few trips back and forth to be able to complete a bug out, I will. I don't think that that's going to be an impossibility to do. Again, I know my plan. You know your plan. I know my plan. And in my plan, yeah, I could take a few trips. Not a big deal. So, let's see. You know, that's how I do it. That's how I prep. I just look at what area, and I've been talking food for some time because we don't have that much. The capability to be able to produce it is huge, and even in a small tent like we have, believe it or not, you can actually produce. It's not going to be good stuff, but like your sprouts and stuff like that, you can actually produce a fair amount. So again, it's not going to like be eating steak dinner or nothing like that, but you can produce enough to be able to get you by a little bit. And when it comes to sprouts and stuff like that, they go quick. You can grow that stuff quick. So that's kind of the area that I'm kind of on, is the food, and then I'll probably be hitting security again after that, because security's huge. If you can't secure your location, everything you're doing in vain, So just kind of one of those things, one day at a time, and that's what I recommend everybody to do. I'm very harsh about the prepper channels and stuff like that use the attitude that, oh, you can prep for $5 a month. No, you can't. Let's be realistic. You can't. And if you want to be real technical, yeah, you could go buy a bag of rice a month. That's prepping, but it's really not. It's really not. It's just kind of one of those things. It sucks. It truly, truly sucks. What sucks even more is when you already had it all. Anyway, let me read some headlines to you, and we'll go from there. Let's see. Gotta have my sip of coffee. And my vape, especially for this first headline here. Gotta take a nice big vape for that headline. The war on drugs expands to vapors. The Massachusetts House of Representatives just passed a bill that bans flavored e-cigarettes, taxes the rest, and authorizes police to seize cars carrying untaxed vaping products. I cannot believe this. I cannot believe this. Ridiculous. Now, I don't suspect that most of the country will adopt laws like that, but that is unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I hope that the people of Massachusetts are getting ready to stand up. I do. This is crazy. They literally are making a law that they can seize your car if you've got a bottle of e-liquid in it that doesn't have a particular tax stamp on it. So in other words, you can't even make your own e-juice and take it anywhere with you, because if you get pulled over, you could go to jail and lose your car for making your own e-liquid. Crazy. Crazy. Post-coup Bolivia, anarchy resembles Libya. Putin urges common sense amid Latin American chaos. Do I have one of what, Judy? I just happened to look over. Bar all things Chinese. AG calls Huawei and ZTE a threat to our collective security. And I'm watching for your reply, by the way. Catapulting Hong Kong into democracy, media glorifies anarchy and novel defensive anti-police weapons of protesters. Epstein didn't kill himself is a fascist recruiting tool, establishment cries after meme goes mainstream in Congress. Yeah. Remember, I don't always agree with the headlines. I'm just reading them. Houdini trick, but Russia style. Video shows suspect jumping out of police station still handcuffed to radiator. Yeah, that kind of sucks. Crucial source of intelligence. Indian Army urges officers to wipe Facebook accounts and avoid WhatsApp over security gaps. Watch Russian military police descend on and secure hastily abandoned U.S. airbase in Syria. To answer that question, do I think something is going to happen soon? Yeah, I do. I really honestly do. The political tension in this country is off the charts. I am pretty concerned for the 2020 election, regardless of which way it goes. I'm also concerned with the amount of injustice that we are seeing in our government, whether it be, this Trump impeachment stuff. Look, I'm not a Trump fan, whatever, but this impeachment nonsense is garbage, right? Hillary can get away with all of the stuff that she's been involved in, right? The email servers, Benghazi, my God, Benghazi. Obama, can be involved in things like Fast and Furious, right? And Benghazi. And nothing. Absolutely nothing. And the people are getting tired of it. Now we've got a president in office, and while I'm not a fan, he's not guilty of what he's being accused of. And I think that's pretty obvious. But just as obvious, if not more, are the things that Hillary and Obama and Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi and all of the others are involved or were involved in, probably still are, and they're walking free. They're not even being contested. And people are getting tired of it. People are getting fed up. Then we have things like Massachusetts and their vape ban, right? What are these, what are vapors doing that's so horrible? Right? Quitting smoking? Since when is that a horrible thing? These deaths, even the CDC and the FDA have came forward, finally. It took forever, but have came forward and said, look, these deaths are definitely related to the black market THC cartridges. But yet they're still coming after vaping. People are tired of the injustice. And I think largely that's why there's a lot of the political animosity, because of the injustice. And it doesn't matter which side gets in office, that injustice is going to remain. And it's building, along with the tensions. So yeah, I do see something happening soon. I see something happening soon on that front. I see things happening very soon on the economic front, meaning a possible currency collapse. I would say at the very least, I don't even want to call it a recession, because it's going to be much worse than what we would think of as a recession. I think it's going to make the Great Depression pale. I see that coming. I see economic turmoil. And then we've got this weather issue, right? And that's the one thing that we can't affect. We can't change. And no, it's not cow farts and too much Aquanet in the 80s and whatever. It has nothing to do with it. Natural cycles. We didn't cause it, and we can't stop it. So, we've got all of these things. Out of those things, we can't do anything about nature. So SHTF is coming. It's on our doorstep. The biggest question is which one is it going to be first? That's the biggest question. And I would say, in light of the different events that we're looking at, I would say the same preparations are pretty well still in order. Make sure you got enough food, especially to get past that initial hump. You know, if for whatever reason you do need power of some kind, make sure you've got alternative power means set up and ready to, well, you know, ready to set up and go. You know the drill, you know, just do your prepping. So, but yeah, I see it, I see it coming soon. Okay, yeah, your video must be a little behind. Yeah, the wood stoves. Yes, that is exactly the wood stove that we have. So, yep. Let's see. Watch Russian military police descend on and secure hastily abandoned U.S. airbase in Syria. Let me take just a peek out the window, folks. Alrighty, sorry, we heard some people, we couldn't make it out what it was, and for whatever reason there's a school bus just not even a half a block away, so it was chitlins we were hearing. Let's see, barbaric behavior beyond the line. Hong Kong Justice Secretary sustains arm injury as angry mob attacks her in London. No one left behind. Firefighter gives oxygen to cat to bring it back from brink of death after smoke poisoning. Pump it up. U.S. Fed adds $104 billion in liquidity to markets in just one day. Okay, and Judy, this is some of the stuff I'm talking about here. Okay, again, I'll read the headline again. U.S. Fed adds $104 billion in liquidity to markets in just one day. Okay. Now we've got a president that's going around everywhere talking about how swell the economy is and how the stock market's booming and the economy's so great, right? It's a lie. I'm just saying, it's a lie. It's the same lie that every president I've ever known has told. Don't misunderstand. Every president tells this lie, just like they tell the big, lowest unemployment lie. Every one of them does it. Every one of them does it. But this isn't the only indicator of economic turmoil. And the other one I shared, I'll get to in just a second. No farm, no food, no future. Farmers clog traffic in Hamburg, that's Germany, with 4,000 tractors and reject scapegoating by the government. Here's the other headline to give you an idea of the economic turmoil. Global debt on track to exceed $250 trillion this year. Okay? That's a serious amount of money. It's a really serious amount of money. Okay? Our global debt is going insane. And even our national debt is going insane. Folks, if your debt is gaining, if your debt's going up, there is no prosperity. So to have these public officials coming out and saying, our economy's doing so great, more jobs, less unemployment, blah, 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 blah. Guess what? If your debt's still going up, that's not prosperity. That's not prosperity. In fact, we can't even start talking about prosperity until that debt is gone. Gone. Then we can start talking about prosperity. But until then, not at all. Not at all. It was in a discussion not too awful long ago. It was brought up, and I'm trying to be as vague as possible here, but at the same time put out an idea of the conversation. Somebody had said that they tried pushing it. They had a few properties into our faces, and in reality, they don't have properties. They have debt. They have debt for a few properties. That's not anything. That's not anything. We don't have debt. None. Our debt is our monthly bills. That's it. We don't have debt. We don't have credit cards. We don't have loans. We don't have debt. Okay? So if I make $5, that's prosperity. Not a lot, but it's still prosperity. Because we're not going into more debt. A lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people don't understand that. But you can't consider it prosperity until you're out of debt. Anyway, a major defense technology leak. Israeli missile interceptor reportedly falls in Gaza Strip and is intact. Bullish on bullion, Serbia joins global gold buying spree, adding more of the precious metal to its coffers. How many countries are doing this? They're buying up gold at just record paces because they know, they see it coming. This economic turmoil I'm talking about is not just national, although we do have a national economic disaster about to hit. There's an even larger global economic disaster that is just looming like a storm cloud over our heads. And it will fall whenever they decide for it to fall. That's the sad thing about it. They control this. They control this. Well, thank you, Tony. I just, I've never been one that I've never been a fan of being in debt. I don't like being in debt. My dad raised me that, live within your means, and there are things that go that are an exception. A home loan, or if we drove a car loan, those things are an exception. Those things are hard to get away from. If you want to partake in owning your own home, owning a new car, or something like that. Now with cars, I would always just save up, and I kid you not, I think I've had one vehicle that was over $1,000. But what I would do is I would save up however much, $800 or whatever, and go buy me a beater. That's how I've bought cars all my life. So I've never, I've had one car loan. It was from one of those Instacredit auto places, and I'll never do that again. But I just save up several $100s and find me a decent deal on a car that moves. And, I do all the work on it myself, so I can typically keep the costs down that way. But yeah, I would love if me and Jen were able to get a house. I really would. But it's not in the cards right now, and we'd have to have one hell of a good deal on one in order to be able to afford it. Well, if the payments was the same or less than what we pay for rent, we could do it, which is possible, but we're not really looking. Jen says not in Illinois, and she got a point. There's a website I ran across the other day. I don't know if I saved that website. I really, really hope I saved that website. Maybe this is it. Let me see. What the hell is this? Oh, no, that ain't it. Let me close that. That ain't it. Let me see if I saved it. Because, man, I'm telling you, it was pretty awesome. I think I saved a link. It's just a matter of me having to find it. But anyway, it was properties, and they were all in Missouri. And there was like really good deals on these properties, right? But most of it was like unimproved land, meaning you go out there, it's just nothing but woods or whatever. There's no access to water, sewer, nothing, power, nothing. You just go out there, it's just raw land, which I'm good with. I don't know how well Jen would be with that, but I'm good with that. As long as I could move out to the property, have some type of a shelter, like, say, a shed that I could get insulated quickly so that I could heat and cool it, kind of like what Prepper Nurse has, and at least a small solar system, 1,000 watts or so, at least to start out. Yeah, I'd be good with that. But, it is what it is. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Blockchain to challenge American hegemony over world finance in next 5 to 7 years, an analyst tells Boom Bust. Let's see. White House releases text of first phone call between Trump and Zelensky. Let's see. With no alternative, NASA spent nearly $4 billion to fly astronauts aboard Russian Soyuz to ISS and overpaid Boeing for no reason. Nothing new there. They're always overpaying private contractors. Always. Pope Francis says politicians who attack Jews, gypsies, and gays remind him of Hitler. I'm sitting there thinking about the largest child sex trafficking ring in the world, and and my opinion that I think the Vatican is heavily involved, and yeah, again, second day in a row, Pope is the pot calling the kettle black. A federal jury reaches a verdict in criminal trial of Trump advisor Roger Stone. Yeah, I mean, and that's pretty crazy, that whole situation there. Let's see, headlines that came since we started. Let me rattle these off, and we'll kind of go on from there. Assad likens suicide of White Helmet's founder to Epstein and other high-profile mystery deaths. Ecuador cuts off RT Spanish broadcast without explanation following minister's complaint about protest coverage. They got an article on here's what happens to a car in a nuclear force blast. Interesting. Let's see. And no recollection meeting this lady. Prince Andrew denies link to Epstein accuser he was pictured with. Surprise, surprise, right? Anyway, that's the headlines. We'll go ahead and get the monologue closed up. Kind of a long monologue. And then we'll just continue on with the rest of the show. So for those here for the live show, we'll be live until 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. So don't go anywhere. Don't do anything. For those just here for the monologue, or if you're watching the recording later on, thank you very much. As always, God bless you. We love you, and be one with your spirit.